Hi, everyone, and welcome to the not new Atlanta here for the Atlanta 250 Live, the second race of the playoffs for the Elite Racing Network. I am Alex Nedd. I'll be your announcer. I'm joined in the booth by somebody who you guys are familiar with, Robert Hill Jr. He is taking over for Dave, who had a prior obligation tonight. And Dave, we have an exciting lineup for you to go through.
Yeah, we absolutely do here
I'm
tonight.
sorry, Robert.
That's okay. I'll be Dave. Dave's a pretty cool guy. On the pole here tonight, Kwame Scott is going to lead the way with Braxton DeWeese on his outside of row number 1. Chris Wright, my colleague from Monday nights here on Elite Racing Network, will roll off second with Scott Crump there on his outside. Great qualifying effort by both guys in row number 3, Michael Hosick and Jesse Rasmus. We were mentioning off the air, I think this might be Michael Hosick's best qualifying run ever.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him. Nick Massey, Trey Holmes there, row number 4 with Wyatt Canadle and Matthew Weeks there, row number 5. Tyler Fody and Zach Rogers in row number 6. Ethan Burrell alongside Johnny Thomas there in row 7 with Joshua Personette and Ryan Gavel there at row number 8. Ethan Stanley, last week's winner, will roll off 17th tonight with Joshua Clark on his outside, and Ethan Stanley was the winner last week.
That can feel comfortable here tonight as we get off of gridding here.
Absolutely. Andrew, go ahead, no problem. Andrew Rucker and Jonathan Cutlip there in row 10 with Seth Rawls and Brent Jones just behind them. Dustin Doer and Justin Fortner rounding out row 12 with Justin Vandermeer alongside Casey Hatch in 25th and 26th. Gerald Campbell, Kyle Hanshaw there in 27th, 28th. And rounding out the field, we have Michael Goodman and Hunter Smith with Mark Robilis, Alexander Gray, Nick Indelicato, Chad Frankenfield, Joshua Adams, and Harrison Talon and Rusty Capel rounding out the field. A lot of work to do for Nick Indelicato and Chad Frankenfield if they do want to work their way up to the front of the field tonight. And Alex, just taking a look at our pre-race notes here, presented by Join APS. 163 laps, no stages, and 7 sets of tires as the pace car is going to get ready to turn on a pit road here.
Glad you guys could join us here tonight. It should be an exciting one. We're a little bit of old school, throwing it back to before Atlanta was repaved and Kwame Scott gets this field under the green flag. We are racing the Atlanta 250 is green here at Atlanta.
Green flag in the air for Kwame Scott. He's going to get a nice jump on the field here. Braxton DeWeese and Chris Wright going to battle for second here. Chris Wright with a great jump. Just to point out some of the colors on our scoring tower tonight, You do see Kwame Scott there and Scott Crump with the black background and yellow numbers. That's indicating they are currently in a playoff spot, looking to advance to round number 2. While those in red with a white background, Chris Wright, Trey Holmes, for example, are still in the playoffs, but they're on the outside looking in to advance to row. Absolutely. They're going to need a big night here tonight. Is Scott Crump jumping up to the high side there, Alex?
And Kwame Scott already got a very important point just by leading that very first lap. So he's adding to his point total. Chris Wright under pressure from Scott Crump.
One thing to point out for those of you keeping score at home, we did have a couple guys join the field late here tonight. Harrison Talon has just left pit road in his number 23. That's a very bright car this evening. Bet MGM on board that car. And Joshua Adams just leaving pit road now. So they are both multiple laps down to start this race.
Yes.
So they're going to have a lot of work to do as we see Matthew Weeks working his way around the high side of Braxton DeWeese. DeWeese started second tonight all the way back to 5th as we see a big mover just behind him and Zachary Rogers looking on the outside.
Both cars looking pretty racy. They continue to race side by side here. Braxton DeWeese, though, he was our outside pole setter. He's kind of going the opposite direction, though. He's the back half of the top 5.
Yeah, Braxton DeWeese kind of falling back just a little bit here. Could be a bit of a strategy to try to preserve his tires a little bit as you see guys like Weeks and Crump and Chris Wright as well really pushing at this point in the event, trying to work their way forward. Zach Rogers up 6 positions already. And another driver going the wrong direction is Michael Hosek. We mentioned a great qualifying effort by him, now under pressure by Ryan Gavel. So down 8 positions already is Hosek. We'll see if he can use some of that pace he found already and work his way up a little bit later in the race as we see last week's winner Ethan Stanley up on the high side there with Gerald Campbell on the bottom. Actually, that's Johnny Thomas, I do apologize, in the number 91 machine.
Things looking pretty racy here currently so far as we get just the 6th lap in the books. 163 scheduled here tonight. We see that 31 car, and I wanted to say Trey Holmes. I know he's one of the cars on the outside looking in. He's been extremely racy, though. I would be surprised if he does not make it into the next round.
Yeah, Trey Holmes, a driver that's doing his best to try to work his way up into that next round here in the playoffs. Obviously not the start that he would have hoped for entering tonight's event, being a little bit on the outside. But as we mentioned before coming on air tonight, those drivers that we currently have in a playoff position, the cutoff line to the last car out of the playoffs is only separated by 5 points. So not a big difference whatsoever.
On the racetrack, 5 spots that could decide if you're going to be racing for a championship versus if you're not.
That's exactly it.
We know how much 1 point can mean. We've seen that play out in real life.
Yeah, 1 point can really just come out of nowhere here at Atlanta. We've seen many passes already in the event today, so any opportunity.
Scott Crump, we missed it, but Scott Crump has taken it away from our pole sitter Kwame Scott and has put his number 90 car at the point.
Yeah, Scott Crump really put in a lot of practice. I do apologize. Looks like we did have a glitch with our scoring tower. That is fixed up here. But Scott Crump definitely put in a lot of practice here coming into tonight at Atlanta. Obviously, with that gap only being a couple positions on the racetrack between being into the next round and being out of the playoffs, everyone has to be at the top of their game here tonight. And that's something we're going to see all night long, is guys maybe stepping over that edge a little bit, trying to advance, because of course as you know, heading into Talladega next week, there is nothing that's going to be handed to you there. Everything is going to be very, very tough to earn. And
did you watch the Xfinity Series race at Talladega over? It was last week.
Yeah, that was definitely a crazy race. Obviously, we saw some major incidents there. Blaine Perkins went for a barrel roll down the back straightaway. Unfortunately, what actually kickstarted that incident was some contact from my good buddy Dexter Stacy, who ended up taking a hard impact in the inside wall, but clipped Blaine on his way down after blowing a right side tire, unfortunately losing all control of the vehicle there. And that was definitely unfortunate to see. Glad Blaine's on the road to recovery there after picking up some minor injuries, and hopefully we get to see him back on the racetrack soon. But yeah, Talladega's wild.
You do not want to have all of your eggs in the Talladega basket.
No, that basket will quickly scramble those eggs as you really have no control over your destiny there.
Also going over, it was the first time in Xfinity Series competition that we've seen two cars go over in the same race since 2000. So 23 years.
Yeah, it was pretty wild to see a few cars going over there, and like we mentioned,
the last race that did that was our good buddy and known elite racing driver Jeff Green and Michael Waltrip back in the year 2000 at the opener at Daytona that year.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jeff Green not with us here tonight. Otherwise, it would have been nice to to show him on the screen at the time. But Jeff Green, obviously, a big part of Elite here, always taking part in our races, and obviously with his experience in the real world, really nice to be able to lean on him for a bit of information. As we look a little bit further back in the field, we see Dustin Doer getting passed now by Justin Vandermarl. That's a battle for position number 28 on the field. So a bit of battling deep through the field as we see Casey Hatch out there in my car tonight. Different sight to see there. His number 14 on the side, usually number 2 for me. But
I've always known Casey as a 14 when I drove with him back in the PlayStation 3 days. So that's a throwback there.
Yeah, Casey subbing in for me tonight. Thank you to him for doing that and getting my partners out there. He's looking at his opportunities for next season, see what he can put together. He wants to come back full-time in the Cup Series, so a lot of opportunity to play with there. As we look further back in the field, our biggest mover so far, up 14 spots, is Chad Frankenfield, as he has Andrew Rucker, Josh Personette, and Trey Holmes up ahead of him here. Holmes and Personette both playoff drivers, as we were about to see 3 wide. There's Chad was thinking about it. Chad's never afraid to think about 3 wide, Alex, as you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say 3 wide and Chad go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly, but you see the action thin out. Chad, I was kind of surprised and wondering why he started so far back as we start to see that upper groove start to play in. Our leader, Scott Crump, used it in 1 and 2. Let's see if he'll use it in 3 and 4.
Ooh, Ethan Burrell with an issue on the back straightaway. Let's see if we can see what happened with him here. He may have hit the outside wall. We're going to pull up the Robilus Photography replay machine here. Looking at the number 37 there. Second last car in line, just ahead of the 70 of Jesse Rasmus, just behind the 92 of Ethan Stanley. Watching Ethan's 37 machine.
Ethan Stanley got into Ethan Burrell right there.
Yeah, Ethan Stanley into Ethan Burrell. Burrell does not hit the inside wall, but definitely heavy damage to the right side of that machine. And unfortunately, with these cars, if you do get hit in the right position on that right side, it can knock the steering right out of place, give you a bit of toe damage and whatnot that can make this car very upset. Ethan Burrell fell from inside the top 10 all the way back to 30th now.
Oh,
and Ethan Stanley back to 19th.
He'll probably have to fix that damage as we stay green here under a green
battle
flag
for the lead, Alex.
Oh, yes.
Kwame Scott and Scott Crump
trying to get back around Scott Crump. They're side by side into one.
Scott Crump on the high side that he's liked so much here tonight. Kwame Scott has been running the bottom. Looks like Kwame's going to clear. Scott Crump looked for an opportunity to jump down to the inside of the Kwame Scott machine, but yeah, no opportunity to do so there. As here comes Scott Crump on the bottom, moving Kwame Scott up the racetrack, looking for a bit of a run off of 4. No opportunity there. He's going to get back in line. So Kwame Scott back in the race lead as we have a battle now for third with 4 cars under a blanket here.
Matthew Weeks in front of that bullet train.
Matthew Weeks, Zach Rogers, Tyler Fody, and Braxton DeWeese all here. There's Nick Massey. Massey's been very quiet this season, but he's found himself in a playoff spot. So Nick Massey looking for a big opportunity tonight to pick up some spots, pick up some points.
I was surprised to know that he hadn't won this season yet.
Yeah, Nick's kind of been very quiet, like I mentioned, up around the top 10. Sometimes you see him back around 15th. But he always seems to find his way into a great result at the end of the night. One of the smartest drivers you're going to see out in the field. You know, he drives for my rival team, but I will compliment Nick Massey's driving every single time I have the opportunity to do so, as he's got so much respect for his competitor and always races with his brain, which some guys do not.
Yeah, we saw some hot heads at the end of that Sonoma race there, Robert, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, Chad Frankenfield ended up with an incident late in that race. Not sure what happened there. Somebody
really?
Yeah, somebody ended up in the rear of the of the Chad Frankenfield machine. So not too sure what happened there. No further comment, but
anything. But it was just interesting and for me, and something you typically keep in the back of your mind is revenge. You don't want to make another competitor mad, because that can happen.
And the one thing about incidents like that, obviously the driver that got into Chad definitely has some regret after the incident there, but one thing that those drivers really did after the race was sat down together, discussed it, hashed it out, apologies were issued, and they moved along. As you know, obviously both drivers in playoff positions in different series and coming up to Talladega soon, you definitely don't want to have enemies out on the racetrack, as you never know when you're going to need that help at the end of the race. And taking a look on the racetrack here, we see Seth Rawls up 9 positions already. One of the biggest movers in the race, currently in 12th, started 21st. Bit of a wiggle by Josh Clark just ahead of him there, but Seth Rawls doing a really nice job. Seth, known as the Rocket Man, putting on his rocket boosters in this one, up 10 spots now. Doing
a good job as Joshua Clark tries to ride along in that high lane. That is a battle. I didn't see what position they were in.
That was a battle for position number 11.
Okay, so
just ahead, we do have the Hux machine right here. Ryan Gavel trying to hold off Chris Wright and Zach Rogers just behind him. Of course, like I mentioned, Chris Wright, my broadcast partner Monday nights, and always like to give Chris a little bit of pain and jabs throughout the race night, but Chris Wright doing a nice job. And actually Josh Clark on the move right now, up into the top 10, just getting around Zach Rogers. So I'm wondering if Rogers has worn off the good from his tires, as we see Trey Holmes entering the picture now. And Trey, one of those guys that always knows how to save his tires better than just about anybody in these races, able to take advantage. And we are lap number 30 just about here 29 of 163, so
Yeah.
135 to go. Oh, almost contact there between Seth Rollins and Trey. Oh, Zach Rogers, big wreck. Here we go.
Trouble on the backstretch. Joshua Clark, Zach Rogers, and Seth Roll in the first caution flag of the night is going to come out. You saw it. We were riding on board with that action. 12 car tried to get in a hole that was not there.
So now what the issue is they're actually stuck. Zach Rogers, I think, had broken steering there, forced to pit. But his car doesn't look that bad from the view we have here, which is very interesting. He did have to tow. We're going to take a look on the Robotics Photography replay machine, see what exactly happened. We're going to go overhead. I think that's our best shot here. Zach got a little bit loose, unfortunately. Gets up into the Seth Rollins. Oh, Josh Clark goes for a slide. We'll take a look at that in a minute and see if he has any further damage. But they get locked together on the outside wall. Nearly contact by Chad Frankenfield. Justin Fortner there.
Just avoided the back bumper of Rogers.
We're going to rewind. Everyone is coming down pit road, just so you're aware. But we're going to go on board with Chad Frankenfield here, as I felt like he was very close.
Hey, this is a question I can ask you, since you know about being in these races. When trouble like that breaks out, how do you know where to go?
So I'm going to back it up here. We're going to go from Chad's point of view. What you're going to see here, we're going to go quarter speed. You see Josh Clark sliding on the bottom there. You're thinking, okay, he might come up. You see the guys up ahead. You can see the smoke over the Andrew Rucker machine. Now you're seeing them there. You're going to steer for the middle. But Chad didn't get that luxury to see where they were going until the last second. Ooh, Andrew Rucker
actually got into the wall there.
Let's watch Andrew Rucker here.
I don't know if it was an overcorrection or him just trying to avoid the 28 car coming up.
So the 12 was just issued a tally as per race controller Mark Murphy. Cause of the caution is the 12 getting loose and into the 28. And they got into the wall. That's heavy impact for Andrew Rucker. That might be the worst impact of everyone involved in that incident with just how Rucker hit there. But back to your question, really, you're just looking for an opportunity where there might be the slightest of openings out on the racetrack, and you're going to dart for it and just try to go there. Sometimes you know where they're going to go. Other times you're really just along for the ride.
And I'll ask you, like, is there anything that you know, like, do you have a spotter that's trying to tell you where to go?
Some guys do have live spotters. Otherwise, most people either use the iRacing in-game spotter or a third-party software crew chief spotter app that'll tell you there's a wreck up ahead. They might say wreck high or wreck low. But for the most part, unless you do have that live spotter, it's all in your hands. You're going to have to make the decision. And that's why I'd much rather prefer to make the decision for myself. Than I can't really get mad at anybody for giving me bad information. But, I have some real life spotting experience as well on the NASCAR side of things. And sometimes, you might go middle and all of a sudden the car on the inside sliding up and the middle's clogged. So your driver has to make some judgment calls as well. As we see Kwame Scott taking the high side here, as I believe the lights will be off on the iRacing.com pace car. Yes, they are. 1 to green. So a lot of decision making all around from your spotter, from the driver, from just about everybody involved. And sometimes you just have to go with your gut, and sometimes your gut's wrong.
That, unfortunately, is the case for Andrew Rucker there. A lot of cars that were inside the top 15 involved. You see Rucker still trying to fix the damage.
Rucker's on pit road. Seth Rawls leaving pit road. I do believe he's a lap down. Zach Rogers leaving as well.
An innocent victim of all of that.
Yeah, and Zach Rogers and Seth Rawls are good friends. They race together in another league. They used to be teammates, and they do get along fairly well. So for Zach, I guarantee he's pretty disappointed, especially knowing that Seth was involved in the incident. Luckily for Seth, I do believe he's out of the playoffs at this point, so that won't impact his playoffs too much. So that's a slight positive. And same for Ethan Stanley, obviously winning last week. He's currently 31st, so not too much positive for Ethan tonight as the pace car's off here on the racetrack. Green flag in hand of Barney the Flag Man. And Kwame Scott's going to get on the loud pedal with Tyler Fode just behind him.
Tyler Fode, who has been the cream of the crop as far as the points leading. I think he's led the points ever since the first race at Daytona. He's now running along in the second position. He's trying. He can be one, I believe, of 4 drivers that can solidify themselves tonight with a good finish based on the points that he's accumulated already.
Yeah, Tyler Fode entered tonight. I believe it was 37 points to the good. So having that points buffer is definitely huge. And if Tyler can continue tonight the way that his race is going as of right now, he should lock in and not really have to worry too much at Talladega, which
is always a good thing.
Absolutely. And Monday night in the Grand National Series, one thing that we saw was Josh Robin entered the night basically having to win. He was, I believe, 35 points out of the final transfer spot, and it was the cutoff for round number 1 in that series. And Josh Robin picked up the victory with help from Tyler Fode. So, now if Fode can lock in here tonight, that gives him the opportunity to help his teammates in Nick Massey and Chris Wright work their way into round number 2 to join him. And having allies in that round with you is definitely a big thing, especially when it comes to some of these quicker racetracks and tracks that you can truly strategize and have your teammates help you out. Oh, we have a wreck on the racetrack. I believe Brent Jones is involved here.
Last crash in turn 1. The second caution
Chad
flag
Frankenfield involved.
involved.
Chad's involved. Ryan Gavel involved. Is that Seth Rawls involved? I think he might have just gone to the apron to avoid that. Justin Fortner involved. Mark Rabilis. I believe Michael Goodman may have gotten a slight piece. Let's take a look.
This is a big crash as they head into turn number 1, and I'm curious to see what the Mark Rabilis replay will show there.
This one goes quite a bit back here. Let's take a look. We're going to watch Chad Frankenfield here. 3 wide. Oh, Gavel on the inside gets into Jesse Rasmus. Rasmus slides up the racetrack. That is huge net code.
Net code, yeah, right there.
That's not net code, though, as Gavel gets hooked up into the side of Chad Frankenfield. Gavel hooked. Oh, does Gavel come down into Trey Holmes? He does not. Of course, we're going to lose him behind the signs here. Got to get those track advertisements. Justin Fortner involved. This is not a good incident for Little Eagle here. Rusty Capel also involved. Josh Adams picked up a piece. We're going to rewind that. I think this is multiple incidents, but also, oh, wow, this isn't even connected.
Well, okay.
Wow, that's not connected at all. But Rusty Capel.
Probably the 9 is probably trying to check up in the 1 car, or excuse me, the 1 car is trying to check up, and the 9 didn't know that if he sees trouble ahead.
So watching here, Josh Adams does get on the brakes. Rusty Capel does not. We're going to go on board with Rusty here, just so we can kind of clear Rusty's name a little bit. At this point, you just start seeing the incident up ahead.
Yeah.
Unfortunate contact there.
He didn't know.
Wow. What a wreck, though. That was a huge incident out on the racetrack.
At least 5 or 6 cars, and definitely the biggest incident of the day so far. And the second caution quickly out here after a pretty clean green and mean 30 laps here. We've been slowed by the yellow flag now twice.
Yeah, unfortunately, twice so far we have been slowed. There's Chad Frankenfield leaving pit road.
A lot of damage, so
I think Chad definitely has more left side damage from getting hooked there. Nobody did anything necessarily wrong. As we saw from race control, it was a racing deal. So no further action taken there. I totally agree with Mark Murphy on that one. That it was just that net code was huge, Alex. You pointed
Yeah.
that out right away, and
We noticed it from up in the booth, and
that
so
was a semi truck worth of net code there. That was ridiculous, honestly.
that was a good 2 or 3 feet on the racetrack there.
Absolutely. As our leader is Kwame Scott ahead of Scott Crump. These two have been battling all night long, as has Tyler Fody there.
And just want to advise people at home, did they pit again? I don't believe so, as they were just
so on this pit stop here, or on this caution, the only cars we really saw come down pit road was the likes of Wyatt Canadel, Seth Rawls, Ryan Gavel, Brent Jones, Alex Gray, Jesse Rasmus, Chad Frankfield. Basically all the cars that were involved in the latest caution. They came down, got some damage repaired, and are now working their way back out there onto the racetrack. And I do want to quickly just share a picture here on the racetrack. Of course, it's Braxton DeWeese. His fan club tunes in every single week, and you know, I'm usually out on the racetrack with them. And
YouTube follower.
Yeah, they absolutely own our YouTube comments. So shout out to the DeWeese clan here. Thank you to all of them for tuning in. I see Alan's Art Images tuning in, Chris DeWeese, Kelly Allen, Doug Middendorf, every single one of you, all 26 tuned in currently on our YouTube channel. Hello to you. Thank you for tuning in, and thanks for joining us every single week. I see lots of big fans of Braxton out there. Braxton's a pretty cool guy. I've had the opportunity to race with him a fair bit, and definitely excited to see what he can do to finish off his rookie season, and maybe we'll see him sneak away with a victory.
Had a great run there, starting second, and he's still inside the top 5 currently. So we'll see what that 13 machine can do here. We are about to get set up for our second green flag restart of the day.
Yeah, second restart of the day here. It is Kwame Scott and Scott Crump on the front row. Tyler Fody, Nick Massey, Braxton DeWeese, the top 5. Matthew Weeks, Chris Wright, Johnny Thomas, Trey Holmes. And now inside the top 10, Nick and Delicato up 23 positions. Here we go. Barney, the flagman, green flag in the air. We are back underway. And of course, It is Kwame Scott with Tyler Fody breaking through here. And here comes Nick Massey on the inside of Scott Crump.
Looked like that outside line just didn't get the run it wanted, and Scott Crump will fall back to fighting for third. He might lose that to Nick Massey there as Kwame Scott and Tyler Fody get off and away.
Yeah, Nick Massey doing a fantastic job here. Here comes Matthew Weeks. We're about to be 3 wide coming off of turn number 4. Oh, that was almost terrible. We nearly had a massive wreck as Braxton DeWeese goes to the inside of Matthew Weeks here. Oh, big clear up by Braxton, but he did what he had to do. I see Chris Wright getting a little wobbly there out on the racetrack. Maybe a couple too many beverages before the race there.
Scott Crump still flirting with that high lane.
Yeah, I think Scott's kind of found his home up there, Alex. We've seen him basically all race long running up on the high side. The only time we really saw him go to the bottom was when he was battling with Kwame Scott, and Kwame knew that he had to own that high line, as that was Scott's preferred area of the racetrack. Just looking a little bit further back, of course, I mentioned Nick and Delicato, biggest mover, Alex, up 24 spots as well. Another guy that's just really caught my eye here, Hunter Smith in the 17, battling there with Jonathan Cutlip and Joshua Personette, currently 17 positions gained for car 17 there. Hunter Smith doing a great job, as I believe the rest of his team is
got a car in the wall there,
crashed.
turn 4. Don't know who that was, just saw it out of the corner of my eye.
It may have been Ethan Burrell.
Yeah.
I think Ethan's probably still fighting his race car just a little bit here, as he's battling Justin Vandermeer. Vandermeer having a nice gain here, up 8 spots since the start. Ethan Stanley working his way back up. Of course, we saw him involved with Ethan Burrell there earlier on. An incident on the racetrack did not bring out the caution, but car 92 working his way up around to now battle with that 18 of Josh Personette.
The only driver that is safe by means of points here is at 92.
Yeah, and lucky for him, he did take that victory last week. Ooh, Tyler Fode, I believe, with a blink there.
Yeah. Scott Crump hot on his trails, and hopefully we'll keep an eye on that 40 car. You don't want to be blinking at 180 miles per hour as close as these guys are racing.
And the one thing that we already saw earlier with that Chad Frankenfield incident was the netcode is very present here today. Obviously, some heavy damage to multiple cars there caused by multiple feet of netcode. And if you're blinking at all, that's just going to play into that netcode game. And here's Chris Wright up in 4th position. So Chris Wright jumping, but as I mentioned, the netcode can really be strong, especially when you have had blinking throughout the evening. And here's Tyler Fode up on the high side. A bunch of guys just all over the place right now, giving us a lot to talk about.
We had mentioned that the 90 had found his happy spot up high, but now he's down low trying to get around some of these guys that have taken his spot on the racetrack.
And this is absolutely not Scott Crump's happy spot right now. Anytime he's around Tyler Fode, he's definitely not too happy. These guys have one of the biggest rivalries on the racetrack. I think the only one bigger would probably be Scott Crump and Chad Frankenfield. But these two always rivals. Oh, Tyler Fode, big blink again. I'm pretty sure Race Control Mark Murphy has definitely taken notice and probably issued a blinking warning at this point. I do see a battle on the racetrack that's kind of heating up here. Michael Goodman getting ahead of Dustin Dewar. Ryan Gavel back here with Alex Gray. These guys all kind of closing in on each other. Mark Rubilis very slow on the racetrack. Looks, I'm not sure what's going on with the Rubilis machine, but I think he is calling it a night.
Yeah,
like Mark Rubilis
take them down the pit road.
Now is as good a time as ever to shout out Rubilis Photography. RubilisPhoto.com for all your photography needs, from Daytona 500s to Super Bowls and Indy 500s, photo shoots, anything you need. Check out Mark Rubilis, RubilisPhoto.com, proud sponsor of our Grand National Series, as well as our replay machine here in every other series. Thank you to Mark for his great support. And now we see Chris Wright up in the Scott Crump happy zone on the high side there. Braxton DeWeese, Scott Crump on the inside. Scott's got to be careful pinching up like that coming off the corner, because as we saw earlier with Zach Rogers, just a little bit of a little bit of side draft can definitely pull these guys together and cause something major out on the racetrack. As Chris Wright doing a nice job. Braxton DeWeese looking for an opportunity to clear the middle there. He nearly makes contact with Scott Crump.
Happening behind the 99 of Tommy Scott.
We're seeing battles all over the place. Matthew Weeks, Nick Massey are in that battle as well. Tyler Fode not too far ahead. We're going to go up to the drone camera here. I think that's our best opportunity to really profile what's going on out here. There's our race leader, Kwame Scott, in the 99. Tyler Fode in second, ahead of Chris Wright, his teammate, right to the outside of Fode. There's Braxton DeWeese on the high side, currently running fourth, ahead of Scott Crump, who's on the middle lane there. Just behind them, you see the nose of Nick Massey.
The 40 car.
Yeah, Chris Wright doing a great job here. Chris qualified third tonight, currently running in the second position, chasing down Kwame Scott. These are three teammates up in the top three right now. Lake Norman Motorsports having a great run right now. They have Nick Massey in seventh, Chris Wright, Tyler Fode, and Kwame Scott all within the top 10. And Ryan Gavel back in 28th. Gavel unfortunately caught up in that Chad Frankenfield incident there not too long ago. But Lake Norman with a fantastic drive here tonight. And just an update, Rubilis did leave pit road and came right back down. So Mark Rubilis dealing with some sort of mechanical issue here tonight that has really upset his car and caused him to make a few visits to pit road. As Braxton DeWeese looking for third.
Still side by side. There comes Scott Crump trying to take a look underneath Tyler Fode. Thinks better of it.
Yeah, I now see why so many people cheer on Braxton DeWeese. He puts himself in great positions here to try to work his way up through the field without being aggressive. And that's something that some of these other guys definitely forget, is that you can make moves without being aggressive.
Without being aggressive? Oh, do tell there, Robert. We have yet to see that normally.
Yeah, normally we see a lot of aggression out on the racetrack. And, you know, one thing to point out here, again, Scott Crump and Matthew Weeks, another rivalry. Matthew Weeks having a great run on the inside of Tyler Fode here. Wow. Oh, yeah. Braxton DeWeese.
Oh, and he's going to go.
Good save by Braxton. Wow.
Big slide, but wow, that 13 car out of shape, thankfully, still in this race.
Wow, that save powered by the Braxton DeWeese fan club over in our YouTube chat. Fan club, how you guys feeling about that one right there? Braxton went for one heck of a slide.
Replay of that.
Yeah, we can definitely show a replay of that Braxton DeWeese incident here. Let's see if we can pull that one up on our replay machine here. Here we go, the Robiles Photography replay machine, watching the 13 of Braxton DeWeese. Let's try to get a better camera view here.
Out of turn 4. Don't know if the car just got away from him.
You can see it stepping out right there, but it's going to come even more. Yeah, so he's already dealing with some looseness on the inside of Matthew Weeks here. Let's see if we can zoom ahead. I think we're just about to hit that moment right about...
Maybe it's the next lap.
Maybe we're just going to ride with Braxton DeWeese for about 10 minutes here, guys. And eventually he's going to do something really cool. Oh, a little bit of contact with Nick Massey there. I didn't notice that previously. But now we're seeing it. I think it's right about here. There it is.
Oh, yes. It just
steps out, goes first. Wow. Look at how close it was right there with Ethan Stanley.
Ethan's probably like, I've seen this before. It's already been involved in an incident.
Great save by Braxton DeWeese there. Great save by Braxton, but also fantastic job by Ethan Stanley to avoid that. Stanley now up in the top 5, battling side by side with Matthew Weeks, chasing down Scott Crump and Tyler Fode here. Ethan Burrell back in the picture as well after what I thought was catastrophic right side damage earlier on in the race, and now I think he's got that fixed up as he's looking to the high side to try to get around the guy that unfortunately caused that catastrophic damage on that 37, as Ethan Stanley has a little bit of a step out moment of his own. 103 laps to go here, lap 61 already in this race. Clicking laps off very, very quickly, almost as quick as a Domino's pizza delivery as we see on the 37 there. His tires might be heading towards the outhouse here as he's going for a bit of a slide himself.
You're pretty smooth with the sponsors there. That was a that was a, I don't know. Are you being paid by Domino's?
No,
that was really smooth.
You know what, Alex? I can look out the window of the room I'm in right now, and I can see a Domino's restaurant. So if they want to sponsor me, hit me up on Twitter, send me a DM, and I'll gladly come over and get some pizza and some garlic Parmesan bites. Those things are fantastic. As
you see, 37 get up to 5th place there.
Chris Wright had a moment right there.
Yeah, he did.
Chris Wright losing spots here.
The leader.
I think he was taking a bite of his Cane's chicken there as he's falling back to the inside, getting passed by the Stay Tuned Sports number 90 of Scott Crump here. Here comes Matthew Weeks coming on the outside of that 42.
And this is still a second up the road or behind. Kwame Scott has put some distance in front of the second pack of cars that runs from second to about 5th place.
Yeah, big gap by Kwame Scott ahead of Tyler Fode, Scott Crump, Ethan Burrell, Matthew Weeks. There's Johnny Thomas up in the top 10 here. Chris Wright falling back now, getting passed by his teammate Nick Massey. Ethan Stanley there. Michael Hosek back in the top 10, so that 24 car definitely showing that his qualifying effort was no fluke whatsoever here, as he's working his way up, chasing down last week's winner, Ethan Stanley, who has been one of the hottest drivers in Elite in 2023. I think he's almost at double-digit victories across all the series so far in 2023, and we're only in May right now, so Ethan Stanley having a breakout year.
Yeah, and he's still a rookie in the series, correct?
He is, no, this would be his second season, I do believe. And I just want to make a quick comment on something that I just saw over in the YouTube chat. Chris DeWeese, which is, I'm going to say, the president of the Braxton DeWeese fan club here, he mentioned that the Braxton DeWeese Racing fan page has over 312 members on Facebook. That is incredible. That's pretty darn cool to see all the support that Braxton gets. I didn't know that we were dealing with a celebrity out on the racetrack here, but I'll be sure to try to get his autograph next time I'm out on the racetrack with him here. As just up ahead, we're seeing Josh Adams and Joshua Personette there. Adams is one lap down at this point, looking for an opportunity to get back on the lead lap for the first time tonight after starting behind
the race there, so he was multiple laps around. He may have done the wave around there, but it's gonna cost him if he doesn't pit early.
Yeah, I do believe Josh Adams did get the wave around, or the lucky dog on caution number 2 of the night here. Now finds himself back in the lucky dog position, 1 lap down, but he's also sharing that 1 lap down position with Chad Frankenfield. So Frankenfield not having a good night here tonight at all. He is currently behind the Casey Hatch machine out on the racetrack here. That's the number 14 Roasted Gems Coffee, Huck's Market, or not Huck's Market, Dave Hucks, and JV Designs number 14 machine. Alex Gray coming to pit road here. That will be another car that's 1 lap down if Alex Gray does opt to come right back out. He's coming to the attention of his pit crew here, as they're going to jack up the right side of that car, put some fresh Goodyear rubber on that machine, and we'll see if maybe this leads to potentially some further pit stops. We're about 40 laps since the last time the leaders came down pit road.
I believe a full fuel run might be within this window, 90 laps to go, so they might be able to make it all on one more stop after this lap.
Yeah, if I'm a little bit further back in the field, I'm definitely looking at maybe splitting this final run. I know that I'm likely not going to be able to make it on the 1 pit stop here, but it's going to be very interesting to see how Alex progresses this evening. He is coming back out on the racetrack right now. He will be, I do believe, 2 laps down. Yes, he is. So he's on the same lap as Zach Rogers. Also, 2 laps down is Nick Indelicato, going way up to the high side here, looking for a run behind Johnny Thomas and Nick Massey. So Nick Indelicato doing a great job here, Alex.
Yeah, he's not 2 laps down, though.
Absolutely not. He's gained 25 positions since the start of the race, started back in the 33rd spot.
Perhaps.
He is our biggest mover, actually by quite a bit. The next biggest mover on the racetrack is Hunter Smith, who is up 12 spots. So a 13 spot difference in the biggest movers out on the racetrack here tonight.
Well, we've been describing nearly half of this race here for you. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll leave you with sights and sounds from virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Atlanta 250.
are back here in the Atlanta 250. You just heard from TA Services, one of our premier partners here in the Elite Racing Leagues. Pit stops are underway here. Matthew Weeks, Braxton DeWeese coming down pit road here. Just before commercial, you saw Matthew Weeks clear up ahead of Scott Crump, so we'll watch to see if anything comes from that later on. But time to give a shout out to some of our other premier partners here. Blue Egg Marketing is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Worldwide Technology Raceway is home to a 1.25-mile oval, a 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. And, of course, join APS.com, our premier series sponsor here. APS offers a complete solution for all types of businesses that need to process credit card-related transactions. Their industry-specific solutions provide the best options for your business model. They have experienced client service representatives who understand what your processing needs are. Check out joinaps.com for your transaction needs today. Of course, back out on the racetrack, Alex, it is Kwame Scott leading the way, but we are under the green flag pit cycle, and we've already seen the likes of Ethan Burrell, Chris Wright, Matthew Weeks, Braxton DeWeese and co. all come down pit road. A few of those guys now find themselves one or more laps down, so it'll be very interesting to see the cycle.
They'll want to definitely complete the cycle under the green flag. They hope to not see a yellow flag. One thing we have not talked much about there, though, Robert, is the issue of tire wear. Will we see that as far as these drivers and how they've been handling it? What is the lap time for drivers that are just now coming out? Is it distinctively better?
So taking a look out on the racetrack, Kwame Scott just ran a 32.37, which is quickest of the guys that have not pit yet. Meanwhile, we look at the likes of Ethan Burrell, who I do believe is the quickest driver to have pit so far. 31.28 is his lap time, so nearly a second and a half difference between the tires right now. That's something we're going to have to monitor throughout the evening.
And as a competitor, are you knowing that info?
You're definitely taking a look, and if you have the right software, which some of these guys do, you're seeing the times throughout the field, and you kind of know where you need to be and what you need to do. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see when Kwame Scott, Tyler Fode, Nick Massey, and co opt to come down pit road. It'll be very interesting because this could be the final pit stop.
Yeah, I expect this is all the money stop. So not only the pressure of having to make sure this is a perfect stop, but you want to make the most of your perfect stop. And Kwame Scott now 4 seconds up the road. He needs to make sure that he just has a clean pit stop.
Yeah, you're seeing Kwame here, Alex, move further and further up the racetrack. What that says to me is his tires are starting to go away, and he's searching for that extra real estate to be able to play with here and deal with this tire wear. 4.1 seconds ahead of Tyler Fode, so he doesn't really have to worry about that at this point. But Kwame's just got to be careful he doesn't get into the outside wall, doesn't enter the corners too hot and push up too much, because just look how close he's running.
Yeah, you don't want to have an issue and take yourself out of the race. We saw that with R.C. Anderson a couple of weeks ago. I believe it was at Pocono, leading the race. Definitely had the race won and made a mistake, and a costly error on his final pit stop, was caught speeding, and a 30-second additional time penalty was added to it.
That's 100% correct. That can be the difference between a race win and a 20th place position at the end of the race. And just to point out here, we did just see the 37 car go by the 99. Ethan Burrell did just put himself back on the lead lap here. The hard way, Chad Frankfield just spun out. Caution is out.
Caution! And how will that change everything? The 15 of Chad Frankenfield, a playoff driver, brings it out. I'm telling you, that was ever so close for the 37 car, but how many of these does it? It doesn't necessarily trap the drivers a lap down here, but they have lost all of their track position.
This will trap some guys here. A couple of them should be able to get the wave around and come back out because, of course, Kwame does need to pit. But watch Chad Frankfield here. It just steps out on him. He gets the grass, ends up spinning down into the infield.
That all the way from
onto pit road and then up the racetrack. Wow.
It goes up and, yeah, race control having no choice but to throw a yellow there. It's only our third one of the night.
The leaders are on pit road, but one thing to point out here, all it takes is one guy. Actually, nobody did stay out here, so... Kyle Hanshaw wrecks on pit road. Cause of the caution is a self-spin on the 15. The 15 is issued a tally. Of course, Chad Frankenfield was involved in a racing incident earlier on. No tally was issued there, but now we're seeing Chris Wright taking the lucky dog here. We should see Matthew Weeks, Braxton DeWeese, Seth Rawls, Josh Adams, and
all
Justin
these
Van
drivers
Merrill.
Could take advantage of the wave around, but they'll still have the unfortunate set of not being able to keep their track position. They needed this to go green.
So one guy that actually may still benefit from this, depending on if he pits or not, is Chad Frankenfield. He may get a wave around in this cycle. I think he will, as it doesn't look like he's going to drop down to pit road.
Oh, but I imagine he has to. Every driver that hasn't been on pit road needs to in order to make
Chad's last pit stop was lap 39. He definitely needs to pit here, but I'm not 100% sure that he will. Matthew Weeks, Braxton DeWeese, Seth Rawls stay out. Justin Vandermarl does as well, as does Chad Frankenfield. So Frankenfield will be the last car to take a wave around here and work his way back onto that lead lap. So very interesting sequence of events here.
We'll be hoping for a quick caution.
Absolutely, as Chris Wright comes down pit road.
Back down pit road.
So Chris did get the lucky dog this time to go back onto the lead lap here. Now he's going to come down and get his regularly scheduled pit stop. And, of course, these guys had 7 sets of tires tonight. 1 on the car to start the race and 6 on pit road. So no shortage of Goodyear rubber for these guys tonight. And
it hasn't been that type of race where I think you would see drivers begin to panic about the lack of rubber going on their car.
So I'm not sure if this was an EOL penalty by race control or not, but Chad Frankenfield is not going to be able to take advantage of the lucky dog, and it does look like he's going to come down pit road now to get some tires.
That makes sense. I mean, if you bring out the caution, normally you do not benefit. That is a real life rule in NASCAR. So,
as it should be, Alex, because you know, knowing that you have 2 tallies to work with, who's to say that you're not going to go out there? Not saying that this was the case, of course, but who's to say that you don't go out there and just clip the grass, spin yourself out, bring out a yellow, and then take the wave around anyways to work your way back onto the lead lap? That's something that I'm sure has crossed people's minds previously. I'm sure it's been done, but glad that it's not happening in this case, as Matthew Weeks, Braxton DeWeese, and Seth Rawls all do take the lucky dog, as does Justin Vandermerl and Mark Rabilis. They're all working their way back onto the lead lap, which does, of course, have our race leader, Kwame Scott, Tyler Fode on the front row again, Nick Massey on the inside with Scott Crump on the outside. Nick Indelicato continues his rapid ascent through the field, up 28 positions in 5th. Trey Holmes there in 6th. John Cutlip in 7th alongside Johnny Thomas. Ethan Stanley and Wyatt Canadal rounding out the top 10 here. So very nice drive by Wyatt as well. Haven't talked about him at all. And now finding his way back up in the top 10 after starting 9th here tonight.
This restart is going to be hectic as we get closer to the centennial mark. Barry has a flag in hand, and we are green. That inside line gets going. We're racing once again at Atlanta, our third restart of the night.
Once again, Kwame Scott gets one heck of a restart ahead of these guys. 0.3 of a second just about ahead of Tyler Fody and Nick Massey here. Scott Crump continues to work the high side, as we also see Nick Indelicato just behind here. John Cutlip right there with Trey Holmes side by side with Ethan Stanley. There's Johnny Thomas as well.
Much about the 5 car of Johnson Cutlip, but I want to say that it looks good. His paint scheme looking really good there.
Yeah, John does a great job over there. JD Designs. John's one of the great painters here. We have many great painters here in the Elite Racing League. John Cutlip, Justin Vandermeer does all my paint schemes. I know there's a few others out here in the field that do some paints as well. And big shout out to everyone that of course, puts these beautiful cars out on the racetrack.
Doing a great job. And John, who I know is eyeing for a victory, has become close. It might just be today here, although we haven't seen anybody really compete with that 99 car. Maybe the 90 is Scott Crump, but even he is barred back in a third place currently.
I think the only way, at this point, maybe Tyler Fody could get Kwame Scott, but I think the only way anyone's really going to pass Kwame Scott is if something goes wrong. Unfortunately,
veteran pressure.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take some pressure. Might take a little bit of a nudge out of the way out on the racetrack, because Kwame's just done a fantastic job. He's held his own.
Car on the wall there, turn 2. Sorry.
I believe that to be Hunter Smith, as he was running pretty high and then dropped down to the inside. I do believe he may have made contact with the outside wall, as we see Wyatt Canadle and Gerald Campbell there looking to get by the Hunter Smith machine. Hunter currently behind Trey Holmes. Holmes in 10th, Hunter Smith 11th. And then, of course, Gerald Campbell and Wyatt Canadle 12th and 13th, respectively.
Yeah. Hunter, who was at one point the second on our list of biggest movers.
He is still actually the second biggest mover at plus 19 on the day.
10. He's trying to break the top 10, and it could come.
Yeah, Hunter Smith's done a fantastic job up 19 spots, but Nick Indelicato's just been absolutely phenomenal on the racetrack. Plus 28 out here already. That's fantastic gains. I do want to point out Joshua Personet's been on pit road now for quite some time. Now finds himself almost 8 laps down. Not sure what happened to Personet, but I do believe he is done for the day, which is very unfortunate, as of course Personet, one of our playoff drivers here, he's going to have to go out next time out at Talladega and take home the victory if he does want to advance.
It's not going to be good for him, as you see side-by-side battle. There is the
big wreck.
Car on the wall there, turn 2, and going around.
Dustin Doer, heavy damage there. He is done for the day. I believe Seth Rawls involved in that as well. Matthew Weeks might have gotten a piece, but that unfortunately Dustin Doer, Michael Goodman, that 32 is done for the day here. As we take a look at the Robilos Photography replay machine, that's the 32 of Dustin Doer. Does he get into Zach Rogers the way that Rogers got into Rawls earlier? No, he does not. Oh no, Deweese fans, you are not going to be pleased here. Close your eyes, guys.
Unfortunately, it just hooks to the right, and Braxton has nowhere to go.
Braxton, Deweese, Josh Adams,
and
Chad Frankenfield. Wow.
Oh, Chad, another near miss on the back straightaway.
Michael Goodman, nowhere to go. Great job by Matthew Weeks right there.
Matthew Weeks there. He gets some damage, but he slows it down to try and avoid.
Matthew gets hit, unfortunately, by Michael Goodman just a little bit. Yeah, 32 issued a tally in that incident. We have to go on board with Chad Frankenfield. That was incredible.
This is what Chad wanted, though, a quick yellow flag. And all those guys that took the wave around there to try and be caught back up.
Take a look here. It looks like a hole's opened up. Here comes Dustin Doer back up across.
Which way do you go?
Wow.
That is amazing.
That's incredible for Chad Frankenfield right there. Dustin Doer, of course, like we mentioned, heavy damage. Probably done for the day. Nick Massey did stay out on the racetrack this time, Alex. So Massey is going to be the race leader ahead of Kyle Hanshaw, currently in second. Ethan Burrell third. And then we get to the guys that did come down pit road, and Kwame Scott, Tyler Fody, and Scott Crump.
That's interesting. I mean, they have an extra set of tires. Why not see the benefit there? But we'll see if track position is key.
Massey being one of those guys that is on the outside looking in to advance to the next round of the playoffs. I get it. He wants to lead a lap, have a shot here, and that's great for him. Kyle Hanshaw, Ethan Burrell, both out here just chasing trophies. They're not in the playoffs at all, and just looking for opportunities to pick up victories. So a bit of a different strategy for these guys, but if I was Nick Massey, I would look and I would see Kwame's just a couple spots behind me. I'm going to start on the outside of the row to my rear. I would have thought of coming just immediately to pit road after I saw Kwame Scott leaving and being only a few spots behind, but we'll see how it pays off for Nick Massey. Picked up a victory over in Erska this week, Johnny Thomas's league there on Monday night ahead of, I believe it was Ryan Gavel. So it'll be interesting to see what Nick Massey, Kyle Hanshaw, and Ethan Burrell can do here ahead of the fresh tires of Kwame Scott, Tyler Fody, and Scott Crump.
Yeah, Kwame Scott going to be in a bit of traffic when we go green, which should be in a lap and a half. But until then, we'll take this time to step away. You're watching the Atlanta 250 here on the Elite Racing Network.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back under the green flag here at Atlanta, Nick Massey trying to get off and away. Ethan Burrell trying to be the bumper. They're four wide in contact. Into the wall. 3 cars are in it.
Ethan Stanley, Scott Crump.
Crash.
Nick Indelicato, Wyatt Canadle.
Ryan Gavel.
Dave steps in and wrecks his car. Ethan Stanley involved there. Wow, what the heck did we just see? That was a Chad ton of carnage out there on the racetrack, Dave and Alex.
I saw the first car I saw involved was it the 90th Scott Crump?
I saw them 4 wide there, so we're going to see if we can pull up Scott Crump here. He's now buried in the field.
Greedy, but it's go time here.
What I saw, I believe Scott Crump goes to the bottom here as well, and Kwame Scott goes.
Clear.
No, Scott Crump tried to clear himself in front of Ethan Stanley. Unfortunately, that involves Nick Indelicato, who was our biggest mover. Now he's going to be on the wrecker. Wow.
Why? Canado also gets a piece of it, and
Chris Wright. Chad again. There's my car. Casey Hatch does a nice job avoiding that. He drank his Roasted Gems coffee today. Use coupon code Mountain to save 10% on your order. Wow. What a wreck.
That's definitely the biggest incident of the day there. And it involves one of our top key players, Scott Crump, and the 32 getting together there. Was that the 32 or, excuse me, the 92?
That was the 92 of Ethan Stanley.
92. Excuse me.
Oh, Chris Wright just wrecked Ryan Gavel, Dave. That's what happened.
Yeah, he was in the clear. I was about to say, oh, Chris is going to make it through scot-free, but
wow,
he got greedy and went down too low.
Chris Wright, what are you doing, buddy?
and when you're in that type of situation there, you're just running for cover. I don't think...
If I'm Chris Wright here, Alex, as we're on board with Chris, you see the incident starting up ahead, you're immediately thinking, I have to get to the apron because these guys are going to shoot back down the racetrack. Right there, Nick Indelicato comes down. There's why Canado, he's going to bounce back down. That's why Chris hooks to the left. Unfortunately, Gavel's there. Gavel gets involved, and now numerous cars.
Chris does an excellent job to keep that car righted after that heavy contact.
Ooh, I love that pun. Good job.
That was great. He did keep it righted. Chris
always keeps his car righted.
Wow, that was a big wreck, though. A lot of guys involved. Chris Wright, obviously, with damage now. Seth Rawls able to take advantage of that, as does Casey Hatch. Dave, one thing we want to point out to you, this guy right here, Michael Haase, qualified in the 5th position tonight. What?
Nice.
What a qualifying effort by him, and he's been up around the top 15 all night long. There's your Gavel car, your Hux machine right there, still alive. Actually doesn't look too terrible, to be honest. A little dirty, but still alive out there, Ryan Gavel.
Hey, aren't we all?
We are, Dave. But just before we came back and they decided to wad up the field, you did see messages from iRacing.com and TA Services, one of our premier partners. Of course, Blue Egg Marketing, also one of our premier partners here in the Elite Racing League. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. As well, Worldwide Technology Raceway is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois. We did just see an EOL penalty issued to Scott Crump for reversing on pit lane into the path of other vehicles. That's definitely questionable. Worldwide Technology Raceway, a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, home to a 1.25-mile oval, a 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. And, of course, join APS. APS offers a complete solution for all types of businesses that need to process credit card-related transactions. Their industry-specific solutions provide the best options for your business model. They have experienced client service representatives who understand what your processing needs are. Check out Join APS today and let them know the Elite Racing Network sent you. Back out on the racetrack, Alex and Dave, Nick Massey, Ethan Burrell, the front row now, with Tyler Fody, Scott Crump, row number 2, Trey Holmes rounding out the top 5, Kyle Hanshaw, John Cutlip right there as well.
Interesting that Scott Crump's still inside the... Oh, I'm sorry. That
was Kwame Scott. Scott Crump's inside the hauler. Scott Crump's inside the hauler right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
and Kwame Crump didn't even make the race.
Yeah, Kwame Crump forgot to show up today. Nick Massey on the loud pedal there. Bit of a stack up behind Kwame Scott.
That outside line has not proved to have any type of momentum here on the restart. As Kwame Scott quickly goes to the outside, he has to get around.
Oh, Tyler Fody clears up ahead of Ethan Burrell, Alex.
still side by side in front of the 99.
Kwame Scott looking for his opportunity to move up into the top 3 positions there. A little bit of a wiggle out of that 99 machine. He does keep control of that car. Some guys have not been so lucky tonight, but Kwame Scott showing a bit of skill out there. Ethan Burrell on the inside of Tyler Fody looking to deliver that pizza in 40 minutes or less here as Tyler Fody coming to the high side.
That 37 car there, Robert, as you remember, involved on a little bit of the back straightaway skirmish with Ethan Stanley earlier, doing an excellent job running along in the now 4th position there. Kwame Scott, though, got around him and is looking to try and take away the lead with a run on the extreme high lane around the 40 car.
Yeah, I do want to give a shout out to Nick Massey. He has about 10 laps older tires than the rest of these guys up in the top 10 with him here, but he continues to lead by about 0.3 of a second. As you mentioned, Ethan Burrell was involved in an incident earlier with Ethan Stanley. Stanley unfortunately had an incident with the outside wall, came down across the Ethan Burrell machine, caused some damage to the 37, which did have him lap down at one point, and now finds himself up in the top 5. So that's pretty darn impressive by the 37.
Yeah. I've learned never to count Ethan Burrell out unless he's out. So.
Yeah, and he's never really out, to be honest.
Yeah.
And, Alex, I just want to give a shout out to somebody just outside the top 10 right now. Actually, just inside the top 10 as he moves into the 10th position. Brent Jones up there in the 10th spot, driving the number 51 Valvoline machine.
Had an excellent job here tonight.
Yeah, Jones
running along in the 10th position.
He's taking advantage of some other people's misfortune tonight, but you know what? At the end of the day, as he goes for a pass around Trey Holmes here, Brent Jones looking sporty right now. He's been joining us up in the booth recently on Monday nights. Myself and Chris Wright, who you see in the picture there in the Raising Cane's car. Brent Jones has picked up some speed out here, and he's charging towards the front.
Charging currently in the 9th position behind Seth Rawls in the 02 car.
Rawls chasing down the 31 of Gerald Campbell. Gerald Campbell, driver for Mountain Man Motorsports. Pretty good team over there.
Still in front of Kwame Scott.
Yeah, Ethan Burrell right there as well.
Unable to complete the pass. Now it looks like Kwame Scott is going to clear himself in front of the 40.
Here comes Ethan Burrell, though, Alex. Ethan Burrell coming to the inside of Tyler Fody and Kwame Scott. I think Ethan Burrell may have gotten any remaining damage fixed up on that number 37 machine because he is very sporty. And just to point out here, since the last time we mentioned the gap between the leaders, Nick Massey has gained another 0.3 of a second over second place Kwame Scott.
They've been racing, so that doesn't surprise me. But now that that 99 is in some clean air and has the benefit of that high lane, look for that 99 to try and run down Nick Massey. Now, as you said, only 10 lap older tires on that 48 car. Is that enough to try and keep ahead of that 99?
I think the big thing depends on how hard Nick Massey was pushing in those 10 laps. I know we had a caution in there as well, so that's really not a big difference as we're about to go 3 wide here. Tyler Fody does think better of it because as you come off 2 here at Atlanta, it definitely tightens up a little bit with the change of direction on this racetrack. So you don't necessarily want to be 3 wide coming off the corner as Nick Massey continues to do his job here pulling away. Ethan Burrell gets to the inside of Kwame Scott. Scott has a not so good turn 3 and 4 there, as now he's getting a bump draft from Tyler Fody.
Ethan Burrell might be the thorn in the side of the 99 as he now
clears him,
gets to the second position there and puts a gap in between himself and the 99.
This is what Nick Massey wants to see, though.
Scott wanted.
No, this is not what Kwame Scott wanted, and actually, Tyler Fody blinking a fair bit right there.
But it's exactly what the 48 car wanted to see. as you were mentioning there.
It was, but now that Ethan Burrell has cleared the Kwame Scott machine, he's gained about 0.2 of a second on Nick Massey. So watch for that 37 to be up with the 48 at any point here to really try charging forward. You know, another car we kind of have to remember out here on the racetrack is that 5 machine of Jonathan Cutlip, as well as the 91 of Johnny Thomas. Both of these guys have been very quiet. They haven't been involved in these battles so far, and they're not really killing their tires too bad out there, which will give them an opportunity late in the running if we do stay green to potentially get up in front of these guys and go for the race victory, which I think either of those guys winning would be pretty darn cool out here, as well as Nick Massey, of course, and the rest of the top 5. But Nick Massey now just about to be under pressure by Ethan Burrell. That lead has cut in half here as the 37 getting bigger and bigger and bigger in that mirror.
Catching is one thing, though, but passing is another. We'll see how that 48 car can defend from a challenging 37 machine.
Watching from the bumper camera, the rear bumper camera on the 48 of Nick Massey here, you do see that 37 of Ethan Burrell just about to be up into the rear end of that 48. Look for Ethan Burrell to go to the inside if given the opportunity to do so. Yeah. Nick Massey going to dive down. Ethan Burrell is right there looking for that chance to pounce. I do want to point out Jonathan Cutlip has lost a couple positions in the last lap. Not sure what happened there, but we have to stay with this lead battle here, Alex.
Yeah, right now that 37 car looking very sporty and very fast on the back bumper of the 48 car. And this could be it right here. A challenge for the lead. They're side by side as they enter turn 1.
Ethan Burrell to the inside of the number 48 machine. Dominoes ahead of Patagonia here. The 37 of Ethan Burrell to the lead. Yes. There's a slow Chad Frankenfield up ahead of these guys. Hopefully his car can stay going straight this time, as earlier on we did see him go for a huge slide, which brought out one of our earlier cautions. Chad will stay on the bottom here. For Chad Frankenfield, though, knowing that you were already not locked into the next round, now you have to go into Talladega and potentially have to win your way to the next round.
This is scary. At some point, he came in here pretty good on points there. He was one of our top 4 playoff contenders.
He did enter with some points, Alex, but again, as we mentioned, the gap between last in the locked-in cars and last overall in the playoffs was 5 points. So if Chad was to lose a bunch of positions, which he has tonight, currently in 23rd, he's going to find himself likely on the outside looking in.
Oh.
As Goodman comes to pit lane here, locks him up, comes down. We are 36 laps to go, so if you're thinking of making another pit stop, you might be thinking of doing that shortly, as these guys are only 25 laps on this run here.
That 48 car is trying to do all he can, but I think, though, the newer rubber on the 37 car is definitely playing an advantage of that, and I just think Ethan might have a better car at the moment.
At the moment, definitely possible, as Ethan Burrell does a bit of blocking down the back straightaway into turn number 3, doing what he needs to do to stay up ahead. One thing that's really caught my eye here, Kwame Scott fading at this point, falling back, about to get passed by Johnny Thomas for position number 4.
Johnny Thomas all over the back. You saw Tyler as we see a side-by-side. Nick Massey not going to give this position up easy. Wants to let it know that, hey, this win is not all said and done for the 37 car as Massey Weeks heads down pit road. He's another one of our playoff drivers.
Yeah, Weeks having not so great of a night tonight. P27 on the charts right now. Of course, we saw him caught up in a couple incidents here. Not of his doing, but no matter what, he was involved in an incident. And I do want to point out that this side-by-side right here, Nick Massey and Ethan Burrell, has given the opportunity to Tyler Fody to close that gap. Now only 0.4 of a second behind these guys. And I think Tyler Fody has a very sporty number 40 Blue Egg marketing machine here that is definitely capable of contending for this victory.
We know that he's very good on being able to save his tires. Did he save something for the last 30 laps of this race?
Hey, Alex, just quickly, I don't know if you're looking at the scoring tower here. What I just noticed inside the top 10 is a guy that started this race 2 laps down earlier. Joshua Adams now passing Brent Jones for position number 8 on the charts.
Absolutely right. Talk about the comeback of the race.
This is another guy we can't count. Oh, here's Tyler Fode up in the battle for the race lead.
Yeah. Oh, and excuse my dog.
Oh, this is going to get interesting. We're coming up on Nick and Delicato here, and Delicato goes high. Allows the leaders to squeeze on through, but Ethan Burrell with a little bit of a moment there. Tyler Fode all up in the rear bumper. Fode to the inside of the Ethan Burrell machine.
Inside and trying to take the lead away.
Oh, nearly makes contact.
That was very close, as you see Nick Massey slide it off the turn 4. Now Ethan Burrell has to deal with this 40 car who's been able to run down the top 2.
Top 4 right now is Ethan Burrell in the Pro Edge number 37, ahead of Tyler Fode in the number 40 for Lake Norman, Nick Massey in the number 48 for Lake Norman, and Kwame Scott in the number 99 for Lake Norman. So Ethan Burrell is getting hunted by the Lake Norman gang at this point. This is gonna be tough for Ethan Burrell. If one of these guys gets up ahead, the other two may play blockers here and just try to help these two, nearly making contact again. Very tight racing. We've seen them get together a few times. Casey Hatch. Oh my gosh.
Oh, car on the wall, Casey. Or is that Casey Hatch? It is.
That is Casey Hatch. He just
off the racing surface, so I don't think that'll trigger a yellow.
Oh, that was a huge impact for Casey Hatch. He just brewed up some heavy damage on the Roasted Gems Coffee number 14 machine there. That definitely
That's
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Good thing it's not me damaging that car tonight. We can invoice Casey Hatch and his people to fix up my car before we head to Talladega next week. This is getting close here. We're going to head up to the drone cam. Dave Huckleberry, the pilot of this machine tonight. Just ahead of the field, we have Ethan Burrell, Tyler Fode, Nick Massey, Kwame Scott in that red and black car right there. That's Johnny Thomas.
Don't give up on the 99 car. These guys being side by side has allowed him to come back and maybe breathe a second life into that 99.
I think the one guy I'm watching here of this entire top 5 is Johnny Thomas in the 91 machine. He's really been able to save his tires here, save his car, hasn't really been involved in anything tonight. Now he finds himself in the top 5 with 27 laps to go, and as we are 27 to go, be sure you're getting ready with your race picks, as we'll do those with 25 to go here, and I think there's a lot of great cars to pick from here. Kwame Scott riding the high side here, going to the bottom, nearly makes contact with Tyler Fode. Kwame's going to go right from 3rd to the lead here, just about, as he's on the inside of Ethan Burrell.
He's
Nick Massey falling back.
Inside. This could be Kwame Scott. Nick Massey beginning to fall off there, though.
Those tires.
Older tire starting to show up for the 48 car. Man, that 37 car is doing all but mirror driving.
Oh, there they go. Oh, no.
Kwame Scott gets into the outside wall.
Kwame Scott, Nick Massey, Ethan Burrell, all involved. Oh, what the heck happened to Kwame? Kwame just, he's done.
He's stuck.
That is he still stuck there? Wow. Oh,
that is unfortunate there.
Let's take a look on Mark Robilus's replay machine here, robilusphoto.com, for all your photography needs.
They were all going for it.
Ethan Burrell gets a little loose on the exit.
And then
contact from the 40.
Yeah.
Oh my.
This is going for the lead here. So Johnny
Nick Massey nowhere to go. He's done. Nick Massey is he's out of contention most likely at this point with that front end damage. But Ethan Burrell, Kwame Scott, both have. Wow, John Cutlip.
Cutlip just barely squeezes, but of that wreck, you have to feel for the 99.
Kwame has had a disaster of a playoff here. Last week afterwards, he said to Chad Frankfield, "Is it too late for me to give up my playoff spot? Because I have not had any luck at all." As we see the field here, everyone going to come to pit road. Wow, this is crazy here, Alex and Dave. And I think we'll hold off until the restart to make our race picks here, as we have to see who's still alive out here on this racetrack.
Tyler Fody has to fix some damage. He might be the leader on pit road, but he was heavily damaged there.
His nose looking okay on that 40 machine. Nick Massey's one we're going to take a look at.
Josh Adams, first car out.
This is crazy. Joshua Adams. Josh Adams was 2 laps down, Dave.
Yeah.
And is now leading.
In the grid when we started this race and is now leading.
That's insanity. I have to look at Josh Adams' pit stop here just because I think he may have benefited from a pit stall here. No, actually he didn't. I thought he might have been doubled up and had to share the lead pit box. But no, Josh Adams, your race leader. So top 10 now here, Alex and Dave, just to reset things here. Josh Adams leading over Tyler Fody, Johnny Thomas, Nick Massey, and Seth Rawls, the top 5. Trey Holmes, John Cutlip, Chris Wright, Gerald Campbell, and Hunter Smith, the top 10. And actually just behind them, Justin Vandermarl, Ryan Gavel, Brent Jones, Michael Hosek, Kyle Hanshaw, Wyatt Canadle, Braxton DeWeese, Ethan Burrell, and Kwame Scott are the 19 lead lap cars out on the racetrack.
I feel for that 99 car. He had a rocket ship. You said it. He was going to have to be taken out, and he was taken out while he was leading.
Kwame
Robert,
was, yeah.
It looks like Josh took two right side only. Two tire stop.
So, okay.
That's what got him out ahead of everybody.
That's a great point there, Dave.
I don't know if that'll be enough, though.
So looking at
that 40 car.
Looking at pit stop times here, see if we can find Josh Adams' pit stop. He had 10 seconds flat on pit road, where the likes of the leaders were about 14 to 16 seconds. Yeah. So gaining multiple seconds on pit road is definitely a big deal. But I think Tyler Fody wasn't really heavily damaged in that incident.
Oh, I thought I saw some nose damage.
That would have been more on Nick Massey, I think, than Tyler Fody. Maybe slight damage on the Fody machine that was fixed up here as the lights are off on the pace car. All of our wave rounds are going by here. Josh is going to take the bottom, so he'll line up with Johnny Thomas. On the high side, he'll beat Tyler Fody and Nick Massey with Trey Holmes. And Seth Rawls there in 5th on the inside. Let's go ahead and make race picks here. And Alex, you can start.
I like 4 tires. As much as I would love to see that one car prove me wrong, all of us wrong here, I think it's going to come down to 4 tires. So I like the 91, Johnny Thomas.
That's definitely a great pick. And Dave, I know you haven't been with us long here tonight, but why don't you go ahead and make a race pick here?
Well, this time I always kind of looked at the people who are kind of desperate, so I'm going to go with the car in 7th place there, the number 5, Jonathan Cutlip.
Great pick there with John Cutlip. I am going to go here. I don't necessarily like picking my own drivers or my teammates, but let's go Gerald Campbell in the 31 machine. He's been up inside the top 10 most of the night tonight and now has an opportunity to potentially work his way up to victory, as Dave's pick checks out my pick right there as Josh Adams gets underway.
They're side by side for 2nd place. Johnny Thomas and Tyler Fody We'll see if that slight nose damage hurts that 40 car, but right now he's off and away.
And Nick Massey also has some nose damage. We saw, you can kind of see it a little bit. The middle of his nose is pushed in. The splitter kind of pushed up off the racetrack. That's definitely going to affect Nick Massey. Is Tyler Fode going for the race lead here?
Yes, had a look underneath that one car. Don't know if I would necessarily... Oh, caution! That's going to save that one car as we have a couple of cars get into it just before turn 1.
So this is why I don't pick my drivers or Gerald's
no.
picture. Oh no.
That's the commentator curse. I so far have not had that happen to me this season.
That's where it started.
Yeah, I
Hunter
hate
Smith and Gerald
picking
Campbell.
my own drivers. Oh no, Gerald, what are you doing, buddy? Gerald. Oh no. So the 17 and 31 look like they're kind of going for the same real estate. Oh, Kyle Hanshaw absolutely obliterated. Oh, Gerald.
Oh, Ethan comes in and gives Gerald a pop there at the end.
Josh Clark involved in that as well. Oh my gosh.
That was
Some power hits.
Okay, so do I get to pick again?
Yeah, we'll allow you to pick again there, Robert. Try not to wreck.
Try again. Who do you want to wreck this time?
I'm going to go with Chris Wright in the 42 machine. Chris is going to kill me if this happens to him, but I got to go with my broadcast partner from Monday nights, Chris Wright. He's had a good run here tonight, been up in the top 5, been battling for the race lead at some points as well. And I think if he has an opportunity to get past Trey Holmes and Seth Rawls and Nick Massey here soon, I think he'll be competing for the victory. And as we see from Mark Murphy there, the cause of the caution is a racing incident. No further action. It wasn't a concertina effect, as Mark loves to say that word. It does not come into play here tonight. Caution number 7 with 17 laps to go. Jesse Rasmus getting the lucky dog there. I always love his paint schemes, guys. I don't know if you've had a chance to check them out, but...
Oh, yeah.
Jesse usually has...
Who's in 9th place right now?
9th place. It says Hux on the side. That is Ryan Gavel, just ahead of Brent Jones. Still in the top 10. What if Brent Jones... actually, I'm not even going to say it just for Brent Jones' sake, but shout out Brent Jones. He's doing a great job tonight.
If he wrecks, I am going to be very mad at you.
If he wrecks, he's going to wreck me next time we're on the racetrack.
Yeah, as he should.
Wouldn't be the first time somebody wrecked somebody in this series. That's for sure. Let's take a look through the cars on the racetrack right now.
But we had a very spirited conversation about what happened to the 15 last week. Do you remember?
Dave,
that's why Robert's here.
That's why Robert.
Somehow my schedule freed up. Yeah, somehow my schedule freed up for tonight, and figured I'd hop up in the booth. Not sure what happened there, but taking a look through the field here, guys still running out on the racetrack. Josh Adams, your race leader in the number 121 Savage Auto Sport Best Buy machine, ahead of the Blue Egg Marketing Lake Norman number 40 of Tyler Fode. Johnny Thomas in the Manscaped number 91. Oh, new picture for Johnny this week. Looking pretty solid there. The beard coming in nicely. That number 91 belly up machine. Nick Massey there.
Position there. I like my odds.
Yeah, I think your odds are pretty good. Johnny's been really solid here tonight, and he's looking pretty good out there. Just behind him, the Patagonia number 48 of Nick Massey, ahead of Rocket Man there with launch partners number 02 Seth Rawls. Trey Holmes in the Exalta 88 there for Fueled Up, running in the 6th position. Right there it is Raising Cane's machine number 42. That is Chris Wright. The Lowe's number 5, a bit of a throwback there. That's the number 5 of Jonathan Cutlip, ahead of the Hux number 01 of Ryan Gavel. And the Valvoline number 51 for the Crummy Electronic Racing teams. That is Brent Jones. Just outside the top 10 in the Quaker State number 21, that is Justin Vandermarl. Right behind him, the JV Designs JV, standing for Justin Vandermarl, is Wyatt Canadel in the number 84. There's Michael Hosick in the Robilas Photo number 24 machine for Covered Bridge. On his outside, the Dominoes number 37 of Ethan Burrell. There's Gerald Campbell, was just involved in the latest incident. Still out there, and his car doesn't look half bad. That's the number 31 Salt Life machine for Mountain Man Motorsports, Gerald Campbell. Hunter Smith, the Warriors for Peace, number 17. Speaking of Warriors for Peace, tune in tomorrow night to the Elite Racing Network for Indianapolis 500 qualifying in the open wheel machines. Braxton DeWeese and his whole fan club there. That's the number 13.
312 people.
Yeah, 312 people, Dave, in the Braxton DeWeese fan club. Shout out to Jeff Schmidt Auto Group for coming on board that, number 13. There's Zach Rogers, number 12, Napa machine for 21 Savage. The Wawa 28 of Josh Clark. Then we have Nick and Delicato in the Fantasy Thrills football, number 10 for Shift Esports.
Some of these cars damaged.
See the rest of these guys. Kwame Scott
on the lead lap as we get
Green time
to go. And Joshua Adams on the outside there gets a good run.
Tyler Fody with a slow start there.
Tyler Fody and Nick Massey, both those cars have 4 tires. Josh Adams on the restart with 2.
14 laps remaining here. Josh Adams hoping that maybe we get another caution here, letting these guys not really get too much of an advantage on his tires. As here comes Tyler Fody to the outside.
See how much of advantage it is in the middle of the corner there. 40 car had to do all but to try and keep from hitting the one.
Look who's joining the fight now. That's the 88 of Trey Holmes, as well as the 5 of John Cutlip. Tyler Fody.
Oh, Tyler Fody.
We're under caution. Big wreck.
This is going to be a yellow.
Wow, not as big of a wreck as I thought. Ryan Gavel, Hunter Smith, Wykenadel involved.
Don't look at the 42 car. Don't look at the 42 car.
Chris Wright involved.
Was he involved?
Oh no, Rusty Capel.
That's on Robert.
Chris, I'm sorry. There's the 91 of Ryan Gavel.
Tyler starts this. He gets loose, and Jonathan gets into the side.
This is multiple incidents here.
There are 2 things that happen simultaneously.
You know what? This actually starts with Nick Massey and Tyler Fody kind of closing up on each other. Starts Chris, what are you doing, buddy? This is one of those Mark Murphy concertina effects, as there is multiple incidents here. We'll start with this one here. Trey Holmes with a piece, Tyler Fody.
I believe gone in the wall just ahead of the 42.
We're going to jump to Chris Wright here. Watch what happened. You see the 0-2 of Seth Rawls up on the outside. Hits the wall, comes down. Chris Wright gets hooked. There's Ryan Gavel, Brent Jones, Wykenadel. Gerald involved, I believe, in that one as well.
That's sad for the Brent Jones machine.
Wow. Yeah. So they're actually putting this tally on the 0-2 of Seth Rawls.
Yeah, and that actually started up ahead of them.
Yeah, but those were 2 separate incidents. What happened to the 40
Was
and the 48?
Fody sideways when this incident happened? No. So that's 100% correct. The caution was triggered by that Seth Rawls and Chris Wright incident, because Fody and the rest of those guys up front were still going straight at that point. That did not trigger the yellow flag, but unfortunately,
so
Seth Rawls was sideways.
It may have been that they were reacting to what they were seeing about to happen, but it hadn't happened yet.
Exactly. But unfortunately, the trigger was that secondary incident.
Behind them, and I don't know about you, but my eyeballs are in the front of my head. I'm not typically seeing.
We can go back and take a look from Seth Rawls' point of view here. And actually, to point out, Dave, as you know, we get an update of what triggers certain incidents. That Fody incident did not actually pop up whatsoever on the tracker. So it was definitely triggered by the secondary incident. I think Seth just pushed up a little too high, because you can see up ahead here, you can see Tyler Fody coming to slide up the racetrack a little bit, getting into Nick Massey. But Seth Rawls, Seth is already in the wall before anything happens up ahead.
I would say that this is a things happening simultaneously.
Yeah, this is just a lot of guys being in a close proximity to each other at
With
the same
15
time.
laps to go in the race.
Yeah, that's
Seth does a good job of not being a part of the issue he somewhat caused.
so 10 to go now. We're going to reset the field again here and tell you who's up in the top 10. Josh Adams continuing to lead. Nick Massey in second. Johnny Thomas third. John Cutlip in fourth. Trey Holmes fifth. Seth Rawls in sixth. Justin Vandermarl in seventh. Ethan Burrell in eighth. Michael Hosick in ninth. And Braxton DeWeese there in 10th. And just for you, Dave, just behind, we have Ryan Gavel in the Hux machine and Chris Wright in the Raising Cane's number 42. This is going to be interesting because those new tires, the 4 tires have not had an opportunity to really change things. Josh is still okay.
One car wanted an opportunity so that the 4 tires don't really have a shot. And I'm telling you, if this one car, I will tip my hat. I hope he finishes in a podium finish, because to hear from him in the start of his day would be amazing for this one car.
You know, not only has Josh Adams come from 2 laps down, he is also by far the biggest mover, gaining 34 positions on the day. Second closest is actually Justin Vandermarl, who has gained 17 spots. He's tied with Hunter Smith at 15 gained apiece. So a lot of big movers in this race. We're about to hand it down to Barney the Flagman to get us going green with 8 laps to go. Caution number 8 on the racetrack for a bit of a concertina effect out there. Tally was issued to the 0-2 with Seth Rawls, and now we're going to issue the pace car down to pit road, and we're going to hand it down to Barney the Flagman as the field comes around and gets ready to head into the Geico restart zone with Josh Adams.
Josh Adams has to run 8 of the most perfect laps of his life to try and score the victory here at Atlanta. He gets off and away Johnson Cutlip right behind him.
Yeah, you know, Dave and Alex both, you guys mentioned the 5 of Cutlip, looking for a victory here. Oh, a little bit of a bobble by Josh Adams there. That could be the difference maker right now as John Cutlip gets to the rear of the Adams machine. Nick Massey there on the inside having to check up a little bit as Josh Adams jumps down to the bottom. We're going to keep an eye on this front battle. Oh, Josh for a little bit of a slide there, Alex.
Doesn't seem to be able to apply the power on the exit of the corner there. What can the 5 do to try and get around?
3 wide.
Wide for the lead.
Oh, contact. Nick Massey, John Cutlip. They do gather it up. Here comes Johnny Thomas to the inside. The 91 machine. Oh, Johnny on the apron just a little bit. John Cutlip. Here comes Seth Rawls as well into the picture. Trey Holmes and Ethan Burrell back in the battle. He is like a zombie that doesn't want to go away. Chad Frankenfield just wrecked on the racetrack.
Did you say Chad Frankenfield?
Chad Frankenfield did wreck. He's back on pit lane. Not sure what happened there. It doesn't matter at this point as Josh Adams still in the lead.
About 0.3 of a second lead that the one car has in front of the 5.
Coming to 5 laps to go here, Alex and Dave.
Let's see if that one car can hold on. This would be the most surprising win of the season and the definition of why you never give up.
If anybody's to get that one car, I think it's going to be that 5 of Cutlip, but Nick Massey not going away. He does have heavy nose damage, but it does not seem to be bothering him here. Half a tenth was cut off of the lead that time, but Josh, Kwame Scott just had a wreck, guys. He is wrecked off of the racetrack. We're going to stay green. 4 laps to go.
He's still parked on the track. Mommy's still parked on the track.
He is off of the racing surface, though, Dave, so it won't actually trigger anything.
Oh, okay.
John Cutlip falls back behind the Nick Massey machine. Now he's going to go for a battle there. Josh Adams absolutely loves this. But at this point, I'm going to say the last thing Josh wants to see is any sort of a caution flag.
Yeah. He wants to bring it home in one piece, and he wants
0.4 of a second with 3 laps to go.
them being side by side is allowing this one car to take the point.
This is what scares me a little bit. You have some quicker cars in Johnny Thomas and Ethan Burrell, potentially looking for an opportunity to go 3 wide. One of these cars steps out and a caution will definitely come out at this point. And as I mentioned, Josh does not want to see that whatsoever. 0.4 of a second he leads, coming to 2 to go. The popsicle sticks are in the air for your race leader, Josh Adams. 2 laps down at one point, now leading the race by 0.4 with 2 laps to go.
Just wants to
what a race.
Flag.
Oh no, Ethan Burrell up into Johnny Thomas. Chris Wright back up in the top 6. Chris Wright's up there.
That's what Adams needs. One final set of corners to get to the white flag, and then we have a race.
Josh Adams comes around. The white flag is in the air. Josh Adams
go here for the one car.
Wow. 0.2 of a second, though. Nick Massey chasing him down at this point. I don't know that he has time to get there. Josh Adams continuing to lead. 2.5 of a second. Nick Massey has a little bit of a moment.
It in there, though. It's going to be very, very close as he sails it off into turn 3 for the final time. But Joshua Adams,
incredible,
2 laps down to the victory at Atlanta. What a win for the one car.
Wow. That's amazing. Congratulations to my teammate Josh Adams on his victory tonight. I can't believe he was multiple laps down to start this race, came back and took the victory. Congratulations to Nick Massey and John Cutlip as well. Fantastic races. Johnny Thomas, Chris Wright, he was wrecked just a few laps ago, comes home in 5th. Ethan Burrell, Ryan Gavel, Trey Holmes, Braxton DeWeese, and Seth Rawls, the top 10. Joe Campbell finished 11th after wrecking here, but that's amazing.
A little bit for Kwame Scott obviously had one of the best cars here. And in real life, the 99 and the 1 are teammates there. Sometimes that is the case where you see your teammate take the win. That is the case here as this one car takes a well-deserved victory lap.
I can't believe what Josh Adams just did out there on that racetrack. That was incredible.
That is one of the best races that I've ever seen and got to call in recent memory, from a guy that wasn't even on the grid to victory lane here. I honestly do not remember if that's ever occurred for me at all.
I don't think I've ever seen that before, Alex. I've called many races now, and I don't think I've ever seen somebody come from that far behind to take the victory. I'm amazed.
Definitely had some luck, but every race has its ebbs and flows.
Absolutely. We do have our podium finishers actually standing by.
Let's go ahead and talk to them. Bring them in.
We're going to go ahead and bring up Jonathan Cutlip, who's standing by with Alexander Nedd.
Jonathan, man, you look like you almost had that second place. It looked like you could have almost had the win. What did you need more of out of your car? Walk us through getting it to third here tonight.
We were so close. I thought it was going to be it. Yeah, coming away with the third, that's super happy with the point situation going into Talladega next week. But yeah, I thought I almost had it coming off turn 2 with about 5 to go. It just stepped out and I almost wrecked into Massey on the bottom.
It definitely looked like it got physical to the end. Did you see a podium finish in your future at that point?
20 to go. I was just trying to, keep it clean, just keep everything, in check, just trying to make it to the finish. I didn't think I'd make it up to a third place finisher and into the points this, far, but definitely satisfying.
Well, want to give you the chance to shout out anyone and anything you'd like. And hey, I never get to say this to your face, but I love your paint schemes.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. I'd like to thank my Fueled Up teammates, my Proge teammates. Congratulations to Josh and the win. That's super cool to see him just, pick up a win here. It's gonna be fun next week, Talladega. It's gonna be a blast. Happy birthday to you as well. It's been a couple of days, but it's still cool to be able to.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Alrighty, well, that was Jonathan Cutlip. Third place finish, not too shabby, and an excellent run to get to Talladega next week. We hope to be talking to you again in 1 week time.
Yeah, John Cutlip with an incredible performance here tonight. We're going to go ahead and pull up our second place finisher, Nick Massey, now to discuss his race.
All right, Nick, it's Alex in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Nick, man, you were going for it, and at times it looked like you almost had trouble there. Walk us through your night and getting it home to second place.
Yeah, overall, kind of hung out in top 5-ish for the most of the night, and kept out of trouble until that late race yellow there when Ethan and Kwame got together out of 2, and I was on the brakes slowing up, but Ethan was just sitting dead sideways in the middle of the track, and I, just T-boned him a little bit there, so crushed the nose in a little bit. Wasn't too bad. I didn't know how bad it was going to hurt me, and then was able to survive those last couple late race restarts there. Had a lot of fun battling up there with those guys. Cutlip at the end. I mean, we about wrecked out of 2. We were both sideways loose trying to get underneath Josh. I don't know how he didn't wad it up over there, but fun racing there towards the end. Glad we had to finish under green.
Yeah,
it definitely was. Oh, I'm sorry there, Robert. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Nick, you definitely did a good job tonight. And we saw you throw a different tire strategy out there late in the running. You had about 10 laps older tires than those around you. And what was your thought process going into opting to stay out there while the others came down pit road?
I kind of thought there'd be some 2-tire takers there. And I thought be the more guys staying out towards the back. I think we had, what'd you say, like 5-10 laps on the tires or something like that?
Yeah, I think you're about 10 laps older than the rest of them, yeah.
Yeah, when those guys pitted, they relayed to me their tires were at 99. So I was like, oh, it won't be terrible. And then honestly, that clean air up there was a huge difference, like compared to being back in the pack all day. I mean, I was up in there in the lead, and I was put down my quickest lap, three laps in a row up there, and it handled like a completely different car. I couldn't believe it, but yeah, just tried to maintain track position at that point, and luckily we caught a caution.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I hand it back to Alex, obviously, big points gain today, finishing second here tonight, leading some laps as well, picked up a bonus point there. Heading into Talladega, what's your mindset for that race, knowing that anything can still happen and the playoff situation is very fluid at this point?
Yeah, I was driving so hard to try to go get Josh, trying to lock myself in and not have to go points racing at Dega. I think maybe a couple more laps I would have had a shot at it. I almost got there. I thought I would maybe have one shot in 3 and 4, but I couldn't quite get there. But yeah, I don't know. This draft package of this car is crazy. The runs and 3 wide, 4 wide, all that. So I think I don't even know where you want to be, honestly. I think you can work with your teammates and just survive and be there at the end. That's going to be what matters next week.
Absolutely. I'm going to hand it back to Alex, but congratulations, Nick, on a great finish here tonight.
I was just going to give you the chance to shout out anyone and anything you'd like there as the runner-up tonight.
Yeah, shout out you guys for putting on the broadcast. Hopefully it was a good show. It was fun in the car. I know that. Probably one of the more fun races this year.
Yeah.
And shout out to Brantley, Harpoon Designs, for putting together the paint. My teammates who, I don't know, Chris Wright got the best finish out of all of them. Gavel ended up salvaging the top 7, but we were all up there top 5, top 6 most of the day, and just circumstances getting caught in late wrecks. Fody and Kwame kind of couldn't get the quick finishes they deserve, so it doesn't show it on the stat sheet, but those guys probably were the 2 best cars all day.
Yeah, they were.
Well, congratulations, Nick, on your second place finish here tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Congratulations, man. All right.
Standing by with you, Alex, is our race winner, the Magic Man, Josh Adams.
All right, Josh. This might be the most impressive win I've ever gotten to call in my time as a broadcaster for the Elite Racing Network there. Congratulations, Mr. Joshua Adams. How did you get this one car to victory lane after starting at 1.2 laps down?
Yeah, it took a lot of commitment. Just couldn't quit. I loaded in and I heard the cars going, and I'm like, oh, I'm 2 laps down. Gonna be much like Richmond. This could have ran green a lot, so didn't know if I was gonna ever get them back. And then I did, and I thought I was pretty quick, and I got up there to 7th on that last kind of run we had before everything happened. We pitted, and I just figured I'm not in the points anymore, so I was just going to take 2 tires and see what happened, and we were able to hold them off.
Yeah, I was going to. That was my second question. How did you have the hindsight to take 2 tires?
Yeah, I just figured. I know they tried it earlier in the race, and I think it worked for a while. They had much less laps on the tires, but the only reason I did it was because had I went in and done 4, just like Larry Mack would say, I'd just run behind those guys. So I just did something different, and it worked.
Alrighty, well, as I said, this has been one of the more memorable races that I've called there, just because you weren't even on the grid when we began, and to see you in victory lane, I'm still dumbfounded. This is one of the races I will definitely be going back to watch just to see what happened. I want to give you the chance to shout out anyone and anything you like.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun commentating with you and Dave a few weeks back for a couple of races, but getting to talk to you this way is much better. But I'd say just all my teammates, 21 Savage. There's a handful of guys on there that seem to be getting better every week, and just putting in the laps, and we got our second win as a team here tonight. So that's good. So yeah, just everybody on my team, you guys up here on the broadcast. I see we've got Robert working the Cup Series tonight, and then Chad for putting the whole league on, and yeah, just everybody that makes it fun.
Robert, do you have any last questions for our race winner here tonight?
Just quickly, congratulations, Josh, on the victory. Obviously, picking up a win for the team is pretty special, and your season's been kind of up and down based off of your work schedule, not necessarily being able to be here every week or on time for the start. But how good does this one feel with how your season's gone?
Oh, it feels great because before when I was able to be here every week, I was just seemed like I was having a pretty good run, and I would finish decent. And then I went on a run where I got wrecked in every race, and I got involved in I think 2 incidents in this race, and was able to get my damage fixed and came back for it. So being able to come in like one of them guys that doesn't run a single lap of practice and win the race feels pretty good.
Well, absolutely, and it was magical to see you pick up the victory tonight. Congratulations, Josh, on the victory, and we hope to see a few more of those before the end of the season.
Yeah, hopefully. One more thing, I was there in the closing laps. Justin was like, "Man, I bet Josh wishes we went back to Nashville this year because the team needs another win." So I came across the line. I'm just Nashville who? We picked one up at Atlanta.
That's a great point, and it's definitely awesome to see a 21 Savage car coming across first here tonight at Atlanta.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Congrats, Josh. Alex, that was Josh Adams, the winner here tonight, and like he said, that was a magical performance out of that machine this evening.
It really was there. As you can see, the biggest mover up 34 positions. What it doesn't say is down 2 laps. That is just amazing that he was able to make up 3 miles and get the win. Takes me back to Bill Elliott did that under green at Talladega one year.
Yeah, that's a great point as well. And, it's one of those races that definitely has to go into the record books as the biggest gain throughout the night. Obviously, a lot of guys did have issues tonight. Kwame Scott, Tyler Fode, even Ethan Burrell, all involved in incidents throughout the night that that hindered them a bit, but Josh Adams did what he had to do, put himself in position, and took the victory at the end of the night to have a great moment after what's been kind of an up and down season for him. Like I mentioned, his schedule hasn't really allowed him to be here every week, or if he is here, sometimes he starts 2 laps down like we saw here, and coming back to take the victory is definitely a cool moment for him. But, just before we do head off here tonight, Alex, any final thoughts from you?
I can't wait for Talladega next week. If it's anything like this week, you never give up, and you never know what could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. You never know what can happen, and I know myself personally, looking ahead to Talladega next week, hoping to come home with my first victory here in the Joint APS Cup Series, and second win in a row for 21 Savage would be pretty cool. But congratulations to my teammate Josh. Have to give a shout out to Blue Egg Marketing, joinaps.com, Robilos Photography, Worldwide Technology Raceway, and of course TA Services, as well as Chad Frankenfield for everything he does, Mark Murphy for the great job on race control tonight, you, Alex, Dave Huckleberry, who joined us, everyone else here at Elite Racing Network. Also, speaking of Elite Racing Network, tune in tomorrow night as Johnny Thomas, Derek Vance, and myself bring you action from the Warriors for Peace Series Indianapolis 500 qualifying. So that should be pretty fun, and I hope everyone joins us 8 o'clock tomorrow night right here on the Elite Racing Network. But for all of us here, my name is Robert Hill Jr. That's been Alex Nedd. Dave Huckleberry joined us earlier on, and thank you for joining us, all 312 of Braxton Deweese's fans and everybody else. We can't wait to see you next time right here on the Elite Racing Network. Good night, everybody.
See you next week, 8:30, Talladega.